Hey everybody, it's Christina at Zeman Development, and today I'd like to talk to you about how Chimpegration can help you keep your segments in Mailchimp up to date. So for the purposes of this video today, I am focusing on tools in Chimpegration Pro. Some of the things that we're going to talk about here definitely will translate to Chimpegration Cloud, but just so you know up front, I am going to be focusing on Pro. One of the things I also want to mention is that one of the main tools in Pro is our Synchronize tool. And Synchronize does allow you to compare the data between Razor's Edge and Mailchimp bidirectionally. So it allows you to have a query in Razor's Edge and either an audience or a segment of an audience in Mailchimp, and you can compare those two things, see what information is up to date, and translate that information back and forth as you need to. So for example, if my board member has given the major gift officer a new email address, we can move that new email address from Razor's Edge over to Mailchimp using the sync tool. At the same time, if my volunteer has updated in Mailchimp that she wants to receive our newsletter, then I can add that subscription for her newsletter from Mailchimp over to Razor's Edge, and using the Synchronize tool, I can do both of those at the same time, and I can compare the data based off of what system has the newer information. So for that board member, it's going to look to see, is the email address in Razor's Edge newer than the email address in Mailchimp? If so, it's going to default to moving it from Razor's Edge to Mailchimp. So Synchronize is obviously a very powerful part of your ongoing maintenance between Razor's Edge and Mailchimp. But sometimes Synchronize may not meet your objective. So the situation that I want to share with you today is working with a school and working with the idea that we are often going to need to update our current parents in our audience for our school. Now, Mailchimp is probably not going to be the main source of that information, just because the information is very likely going to flow from our student management software into Razor's Edge and from Razor's Edge into Mailchimp. So because of the way that data is flowing, Razor's Edge is going to be our authority on who is a current parent. So to start, we do need to create a query showing who is a current parent. And I've already done that just because everyone's going to query on that a little bit differently. I don't want to confuse things by showing you how I created my query. But just to say, I have already created a query of my current parents. So once I've identified who my current parents are, I'm going to use my Update Mailchimp tool. I'm going to work with my Export to an Audience in that section. So I'm going to click on that. We're going to select our audience, and we're going to select our query. So I've got one here that I've named Current Parents to 2021. And then I'm going to go ahead and say what I want to happen. So I can add a group, I can add a tag, I can choose to add this to their existing data, I can replace their existing data. What you're going to choose here is really going to depend on what you need to do. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign Current Parent to everyone in my query. Next, we would need to work with what we're going to update in Mailchimp. So if we select the default of only add new emails, that means we're only going to add this tag and we're only going to add email addresses for records that are already on this audience in Mailchimp. So if we're going to do an update, we need to make sure we select the second option of add new emails and update existing values. Second section on the screen does talk about what we're going to do in cases where we have two constituents with the same email address. I am going to leave this as is. We do have other documentation that helps you walk through what selections you want to pick in this case. So I'll leave that to you for our other documentation. And then finally, we're going to match our data based off of what we have. So again, you do have flexibility in what you choose here, what fields you export out of Razor's Edge, what fields you create in Mailchimp. I have selected just a few basic fields so you can see how this works. And then when we're done, we can go ahead and click Run Now. We can add that tag and make sure we have all of our current parents subscribed. So that's how easy it is to add the tag to Razor's Edge, or from Razor's Edge into Mailchimp. However, just because that query had all of my current parents and I've added that tag now from Razor's Edge into Mailchimp, the problem is I also added that tag 6 months ago, and I know that there are people who are no longer current parents, who are still in Mailchimp tagged as current parents. So what I can do is come to my Update Mailchimp side here again and click on my Remove Subscribers. Within remove subscribers, I'm going to click that same audience. I'm going to choose how I want to match. So let's go ahead and match based on that email address that I was working with. And then I can choose if I want to use a query of subscribers to keep or a query of subscribers to remove. Whichever one you pick really depends on the logic in your query and what you want to happen. So for example, if I selected my query of, let me pull this up, sorry, I clicked wrong there. If I select my query that I used earlier of Current Parents 2021, that's going to be a query to keep because I already tagged those people as these are my current parents and that's who I want to be marked as a current parent. But it could be that that query won't quite work for what I want to do here, and maybe I want to use that not current parent option. So let's go to the remove. So we would say we want to remove people who are not current parents. So we're going to add that to my remove, and then now we need to tell it what we're going to do when we remove people. So we could delete them, we could unsubscribe them, we can remove them from a group, or we could remove that tag. So we do have that tag here. And we have an option down here to say do not remove subscribers that are not in the Razor's Edge. So if you are working with prospects who are not in Razor's Edge but who are in your audience, you may want to check that box to make sure that you don't remove anyone who is a prospect who isn't in Razor's Edge. So this removal tool can powerfully remove people. So just make sure you pick the selection that you need, and then you'd go ahead and click delete. And that's going to ask you to confirm what you want to do with that tag, and then you get an option to review everything before it actually is removed from Mailchimp. I hope that this has been helpful for you in seeing a way that we could globally update your list and your subscribers to specific segments within that list in Mailchimp using Chimpegration. Thanks so much for joining me, and have a great day.